It's always great when you don't need something and you have it compared to when you want it and you don't have it. Leadership does not start from the office. Leadership starts from the home. Whatever phase you find yourself, just do good, be yourself, and know that life is always not a bed of roses.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Next Space podcast. And today I have a friend. His name is Uchenna as a guest today. Uchenna is a life insurance broker that serves Canadian families and entrepreneurs by helping them to attain financial peace of mind. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that and also about LinkedIn because he's also a LinkedIn expert. Thank you, Uchenna, for joining me today on the Next Phase podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Adi. Thank you so much. And the honor is mine to be here within your platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself so that people that are seeing you for the first time can know about you and people that have been seeing you a lot can know more about you?
Thank you so much. So, a little bit about myself. I'm going to talk about it in a very simple framework: past, present, and future. So, I migrated to Canada as an international student in 2018 of December, and I ran through the schooling system. I went through school as a postgraduate student. Quickly after graduation, so my background is in engineering, and I practiced briefly as a robotics technician in a
Okay.
manufacturing company for about 1 year. Then, right after that, I decided to switch to the sales environment. So while I made that switch, I then started building my LinkedIn and my brand online, and yeah, started investing in real estate briefly after that. And after doing that, I quickly realized that I loved sales and I wanted to provide value to people through education. So that's what really drew me to get into life insurance services. So that's what I do for my active career right now, providing life insurance services. But on the passive side, I invest in real estate. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much for that. So it was your passion for sales that made you to make that switch from engineering into life insurance and financial protection and stuff like that.
Yes, you're very correct. So for the longest time, while I was always growing up as a kid and also applying for jobs in Canada, when I spoke to people, they always told me, "Oh wow, you'd be a great salesperson. You'd be good at people facing business." It didn't really click until I decided to give it a try. So yes.
Okay, okay. And how has this your passion for sales transitioned into building a brand on LinkedIn?
Hmm. That's a very good question. So I would say my passion for sales is is very similar to building a brand on LinkedIn because at the end of the day, everyone building a brand is selling themselves one
Exactly.
way or the other. So I wouldn't say that's transition. I would say it was a very good match because I was able to easily understand the whole idea of social selling, whereby you are socially selling yourself or socially selling the product. So it was more of a phase of selling. I wouldn't say transition. So yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. I know you've said that being on LinkedIn, building a brand on LinkedIn has
Yes.
opened multiple doors for you. You said that to me some couple of time ago. Can you walk us through how that journey has looked like for you?
That's a great question. So I'm going to speak about it from three different, two to three different perspectives. So while I was still in the 9 to 5 space and looking for jobs, because I was focused on building my brand online and I was focused on just speaking about who I am, my values, my perspective on life, what I was going through in my jobs, my challenges, my wins, my losses, I was able to not stay out of work for too long when I was laid off the first time. So what happened was A lot of recruiters did reach out to me online, and I had that power of choice. So at some point, I was even referring jobs to other people because I didn't need them at that point. So I would say that really helped me at that phase of my life. Then the second phase, which is the phase I'm going through right now, which is my life insurance services. So what I would say is LinkedIn is a great platform that is very big on social selling. If you understand how to navigate things, especially through DMs, through the content, through your brand positioning. So I would say I've had a lot of amazing conversations with a lot of people, built a lot of genuine relationships in the process. And at the end of the day, I believe my social network has increased over the while. So I would say it has really helped me in building my foundation and also help with the infrastructure that I'm currently putting in place. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I like the fact that you said that it has built your social network. And there's a saying that says that your network is your net worth. So, so I,
Right.
so, so I like that. Yeah. And I know that you are someone that show up consistently on LinkedIn, like Monday to Sunday, you are or there on LinkedIn showing up consistently. What are some of the first steps that like somebody maybe wanting to start showing up, what are the first steps that they can take to be able to show up consistently on LinkedIn?
Hmm. That's a wonderful question. So there's something I put together. I call it the 12 commandments on LinkedIn for myself. I put together, and one of the commandments are the first one is you are unique, and you have to embrace that fact. That's the first thing. Everyone has a unique story, and everyone has something or a unique perspective to share with the world, right? So the
Yes.
moment we embrace that fact and we get comfortable with it, it becomes very easy to decide to show up every day, even though we might not be too clear on things, or may not be too clear on our positioning, or may not be too clear on our why. Like, why are we doing this? Because when I got started, I didn't really have a strong why that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. But I just showed up because I I knew that it was going to be something that will help in the long term, and I just said to stick with it, right? So to answer your question, yes, I'm having that conviction that you're unique is one. Then the second thing I would say is there is something I call there's a book I read. It's called the Go Giver, and in that book it says there are two kinds of people in the world. They are givers and they are takers, right? So when we go through life experiences, when we have a unique perspective on something, when we have value to give, when we have stories to share from how we, say, for example, overcame challenges and became better, or were able to transform from A to B, and we choose not to share those things with people because of maybe we're scared, or we feel we're not good enough, or because we feel what we are sharing doesn't make any sense, we automatically become takers,
Mm.
meaning we are taking from the world and not giving to the world, right? So that's the second point I would always encourage people to focus on. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be a giver or a taker? And last time I checked, even starts the receiving process, right? So
Mm.
these are the two things I would highlight on why I've chosen to be consistent and what people could do to get consistent on LinkedIn. Yes.
Yeah. I like that, like givers and takers. I know when sometimes when I also talk to people about LinkedIn, about you just have to give value. There may be somebody give value for 1 week, they're already expecting something in return. Yeah, they are expecting that, oh, I've been doing this thing. You know, something about long term. So people,
Yeah.
they I think they sometimes understand that givers and takers, but they don't understand that long term aspect, and they post consistently for 1 week and be like, oh, I've been posting for 1 week, nobody's commenting and things like that. So at the end of the day, that long term is also there. So going into
Yes.
it to show that you have value, not just to give value like a bit of value and be expecting the return on investment
Exactly.
immediately. Yeah, I
Immediately,
like that.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. And you also mentioned something about imposter syndrome. I think that
Mm-hmm.
is also a big deal with people. People will be
Oh,
like,
yes.
what am I going to say? Will people listen to me? All those things. People are also scared about that. So I like how you also mentioned the fact about imposter syndrome. You always have something to give. You just have to
Yes.
you just have to give it, not stop doubting. You're not
Mm-hmm.
doubting yourself and things like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So uh, want to also talk about still on this LinkedIn opportunity. At what point did you start noticing that people are seeing you as an expert? And was there a particular moment that stood out for you that make you realize that yes, people are listening to me, people are seeing me as a voice here on LinkedIn?
That's a very interesting question. Do I see? Okay, so first things first, I always want to say this. I um, always try to approach life from a student perspective, whereby I'm always open to learning, always open to continuous growth, and always open to making adjustments. Right. So from my own corner, I see myself as a student, not as an expert, but maybe from the outside, people see me as an expert, which is fine. So from people's perspective, I'm going to answer that question on how I think people see me as an expert. So there is this one Canadian content creator that I would say um, was one of my not one of well not was is one of my big inspirations that made me to actually start creating content on LinkedIn in the first place and just gave me that courage to keep going. His name is Toby Oluwole. So I would say there was a time I think was it early this year? Yeah, early this year when I did some switch ups to my content and all that. I just got a random message from him. Oh, hey, hey, bro, wow, great job, the content. I like the way you're showing up. I like what you're doing, and just keep it up. To me, that was really a great feedback from someone that I admired so much and someone that I looked up to. So I would say that's one of the times that I would say, okay, I think I'm being able to I'm able to show up as an expert in that space. Then another one that I would say really stood out to me that made me think, oh wow, does it mean that I'm already seen as an expert? Is like you rightly said, being able to show up on a consistent basis, right? Showing up every day. So for some reason, there's something on LinkedIn called it's called like silent trust. People are able to trust you for consistency, for being consistently showing up, right? And I got a couple of people DMing me, oh wow, great stuff with what you're doing. So I'm currently going through a couple of challenges. How can how do you suggest I'm able to navigate XY problems or ABC problems? So in those moments, in those conversations in the DMs, I started asking myself, oh really? Even though I had my own struggles, I was still being perceived as someone that could be of value to help with being able to build a presence on LinkedIn. So that's when I started getting that idea of okay, there is a perception or there is a reputation you get just by showing up the way you are consistently without thinking too much. So yeah, I'll say those are the two things to me that really made me feel people see me as an expert. Yeah. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah. That does some, yeah, because sometimes when we even try to show up consistently and the rest, and we are not getting that feedback, sometimes we might be doubting ourselves that are we even doing the good right thing or are we not doing it? But having those feedback from people is also like a way of motivation, a way of encouragement for us to keep moving forward. And so that has answered my question. Yeah.
Amazing.
I want us to talk about like mindset. So if someone is trying to do what you are doing, like trying to show up consistently, trying to build their brand and things like that, what are the mindset shifts that those kind of people can put in place to be able to do that consistency and that long term showing up?
Okay, that's a very loaded question, and I'm going to break it down. So for me, I'll say the very first thing I would tell anyone is the very first thing. If you're looking to do something tangible on LinkedIn and
Mm,
build something solid, the first thing is don't think in weeks. Don't think in months. Think in
long term.
half decades or think in decades.
Mm,
That was the first thing. Because the moment you think in weeks or months or few years, you've lost the battle
mm,
already. Right? So that's the first thing. Think in half decades or think in decades, 5 years, 10 years. Then you give yourself that room to show up. You give yourself that room for your efforts to compound. You give yourself that room to make lots of mistakes. To give yourself room to figure out what's working, what's not working, and you give yourself room to meet amazing people along the way, right? If you do that. So after you think long term, the second thing I would want to say is be a value first driven individual. Like be a value first driven person, right? So there's a lot of people that do what they do on LinkedIn. Some sell some sell products, some sell services, and all they mostly care about is what's in it for me. Right? For me personally, I flip that script on its head. So what I do is when I reach out to someone, it's what's in it for them first, right? Because I believe in the law of reciprocity. When you provide value to people and you show up genuinely just to build a connection or build a relationship, they will want to do the same. And when you start finding yourself in places where you build relationships and having conversations, opportunities pop up, resistance is low, conversions are high, right? So that's something I would say: be a value first driven person and then switch from what's in it for me to what's in it for them. And the third thing I would say is, so the first one was um
long term.
long term thinking, long term. Second one was being able to switch from what's in it for me to onto you. Then the other one I would talk about is understanding that with whatever is going on LinkedIn, everybody doesn't completely have everything figured out. Everybody's still trying to figure things out, right? At every point in time, trying to make this better, trying to improve this, trying to get more conversions, trying to position ourselves properly, trying to do this properly, right? So understanding that this is a platform that we all are trying to level up and learn. So if you see yourself or if you choose to see yourself as a student or a lifelong student, you have solved half of the problem, right? Because you are coming in with the mindset of, okay, I know I'm going to face challenges along the way. I know I'm going to face some struggles. Okay, what do I need to know? Solutions. So problems have solutions. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find ways. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to meet people that might have overcome the challenges that I'm going through. I'm going to learn from them. And also, I'm going to turn around to provide value to people that are also going through challenges that I've been through, right? So it's a very interesting place to be. Oh, yeah, those are the three things I'll say. And yeah,
Yeah, thank you for those three things. The third one really stood out to me. He said, understand that not everyone have it all figured out. And I think it's a word of encouragement for me because before we started recording, I was telling you that it's like I don't have it all figured out. And you saying is it like, oh, okay, my mind is at rest that don't have to have it all figured out. I have to just keep being better at what I'm doing. Yeah. So Thank you for that. I really like that. And you also talk about making it long term. And I like the fact that you broke down that long term to say half decade or decade, because long term for some people might be 2 months, long term might be 3 months. I
Yes.
I like the fact that you put like value in that long term to say is from maybe 5 years, 10 years, long term, long term. You also talk about giving that value first, not looking for what you will gain, but from the value that you can bring. And from that value, it will flip over to now be like gains for you. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Mhm.
So, in what ways has LinkedIn translated into business growth for you? You know, you are a life insurance broker. So, how has LinkedIn showing up consistently on LinkedIn translated into business growth for you?
Good question. So, for the different ways to get businesses or get business growth, right? You have the online way, which is the social selling way, whereby you sell your services socially, or you do it in person, the traditional way, emails, cold calls, and all that, right? So for LinkedIn, LinkedIn is more focused on social selling. And how LinkedIn has helped my business growth is very simple, right? So first thing, because of the mindset I go into the business with, which is just trying to educate people on what the living benefits are to the products I sell, what are the unique opportunities that can be presented with those living benefits. Because I approach things from that educational perspective, I'm able to convey value through the DMs to people. Right? I'm able to provide those communications, those values, those information through people through DMs, right? And one of the ways I've been able to do that easily without a lot of resistance is by starting out with, like what I said before, starting out with what's in it for them. How can I help them? How can I be of value to them? So, for example, if I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, I don't just show up guns blazing. Hey, my name is Uchena. This is what I do. I sell life insurance services. Hey, come check it out. No, rather, because I know it's a social selling inclined platform. I always choose to be socially responsible by what? Building a relationship first, getting people to feel that I'm interested in them
Mm,
before I show up with my offerings or whatever, right? And that's why there's something on LinkedIn called it's called Social Selling Index. It's called SSI, and it's a grade that LinkedIn uses to socially rank people based on how they are socially based on their social behavior, right? So I try to use that social selling index ranking as a yardstick to ensure that I am not on the average side of things, but on the optimal side of things, right? That's one. Then also, LinkedIn has been able to help my business because LinkedIn is a good platform. It's a platform that allows you to get some insights on people in terms of their perspective on life, their value systems, what their takes are on things like maybe leadership, professional development, and how they see things from that perspective, maybe from their careers and all that. So having that playbook, that playbook to see what resonates with people or what makes them who they are, it's like it's a gold mine. The moment you see that as an entry point, it gives you the ability to pick one or two things about people that you could speak to on the first initial contact that would make them say, okay, well, this person knows a little bit about me. Okay, so let's have a chat. Okay, what are you about? Oh, wow. For example, if you reach out to someone that see on LinkedIn, they see recently, say for example, they recently had a book or they wrote a book or went to a podcast or they were featured in an article or something, and I'm trying to sell the service to them. I'll go to that article, read what the article said about them, or go to the podcast, listen to what the podcast said, or look at their career trajectory, if maybe they got like a new role or something, or they've been at a role for a certain period of time. I just look for places to get information about them, which does very well, and leverage that information to build that initial connection right off the gate. So it gives business owners, especially like myself, opportunities to leverage valuable information to build trust right out of the gate. So that's that. And the other thing I would say is LinkedIn has been able to help my business grow because it has given me the ability to position myself as an expert in my field. And the only way you're able to do that is just by showing up consistently, by being able to provide, by being able to position yourself um, naturally without any need to do too much, which makes it very much of an easy lift. For example, I don't need to think too much about doing videos like other platforms where you have to keep showing your face and all that, which is time consuming, takes a lot of energy, right? But LinkedIn, with text, with your thoughts, your value system, put it in writing, drop it, you're good to go, right? So those are the ways I think LinkedIn has been able to help me grow my business. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for sharing that. So is some, like you said, research also come in place, like look, showing that social self, trying to know people more, trying to read about them, not just connecting to people like cold call, like I'm just telling you just because I have your phone number or I have your email address. Person be like, who is this? But coming genuinely like a friend in quotes, you know a little bit about that person and start kicking off from that. Yeah, so that's also, that is very, very good. I know at one point when you started, you will have like challenges that you've overcome or you are still going through or whatnot. What was the biggest challenge you had to overcome during this journey for you?
Hmm. Interesting. The biggest challenge I would say I had to overcome was this. I would say when I got started, I remember I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. You just took me down memory lane. When I actually started, because I was new to Canada and I didn't have Canadian experience. Like I had less than 1 year of actually working as a white collar Canadian. Because when I started actually creating content, I was working as a cleaner after school. I was working as a cleaner. So the biggest problem that I faced back then was, what does a cleaner like myself have to say about life?
Hmm.
That was the biggest problem I had because I went on LinkedIn. I see people with crazier titles, managers, CEOs, founders, co-founders, and so what the hell do I have to say?
Right.
What do I have to offer? What have I seen in life?
Imposter syndrome that we are talking about.
Big time, big time, big time. So I struggled with that for a very long time, and the only thing that was able to help me overcome it, not I won't say overcome. The only thing that helped me close the mouth of imposter syndrome because it was a constant struggle of close the mouth. It opened it again,
Hmm.
close. Close.
Hmm.
It was just choosing to show up.
Hmm.
Because the more I showed up, the less confidence I gave the imposter syndrome guy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it just gradually kept building up over time. And even to today, sometimes it shows up because at every point in life, from my perspective though, at every point in life or every point on LinkedIn, your LinkedIn growth, once in a while you may always come across someone that you feel like, oh, wow, this person is doing exceptionally well, and it's wow, for this level of
yeah.
time, this country, or this level of exposure, they've achieved boom, boom, boom. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh wow, what the hell am I doing? Uche, wow, wow. So it's always a constant boom, 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 right? And from my experience, I quickly realized that the number one way to handle imposter syndrome is not by doing too much, just that thing that is making you feel like an imposter, just do it. That thing that is making you say you're not good enough, that you shouldn't do it. Deal with it, just do it. And you'll have strong leverage over that. So yeah, for me that was the biggest challenge, and I always keep telling people, for example, new people to the country, immigrants, and people looking to start from where they are. I always tell them, as an immigrant, first of all, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with me or not, you have a very unique perspective on life. You have at least tell you to if now you sit down right now and I take a pen and paper and I ask you about 10 questions. I will be able to generate at least 50 stories from you.
Mhm.
Just ask you 5 to 10 questions, and I will tell you, I can share 50 stories about a unique perspective on life that a lot of people can relate to and allow you kickstart your journey by being able to be consistent on LinkedIn, right? That's something I tell people. Then, was it of late recently? I was speaking with someone, one of my clients that I train with LinkedIn, and he told me he feels because he wants to speak, he likes speaking, he wants to speak on leadership, right? And I was like, he wants to speak on leadership, but he does not know that he doesn't think he has leadership experience. He's not a leader. He's not this. He's not that. He's not a. So I asked him one question. I asked him, okay, because I'm a person of faith, right? I'm a person of faith. I told him, and I believe in God 100%. So I asked him, he's also a person of faith too. So I asked him, do you believe in the Bible? He said yes. So I said, okay, what was the number one thing God said about man? He said, God told man, go into the world and have dominion over it, right? And dominion is having more of control, right? Over the resources and not the earth, right? So if God has given you that commandment, that mindset, right? So by your right, by default, everyone has a position of leadership that starts from themselves first, right? Because for me, leadership does not start from the office. Leadership starts from the home. How you show up with parents, how you show up with your siblings, how you show up with your younger brother, your other brother, how you show up with your neighbors. For me, that's true leadership, and that's why, for me personally, I tie very little significance to titles, right? Because at the end of the day, I am more interested in the human behind the title and not right? So I always tell people, even though you think you don't have a managerial role or you don't think you have XYZ title experience, you in your own fundamental right are a leader. So just take those life experiences you've experienced and show up as a leader in your own right. So yeah, I'm not sure that answers the question.
Thank you. Thank you. I think most, I would say 99% of people, if not 100% of people, would have struggled with imposter syndrome one time or the other, or constantly struggling. Because if you are not even struggling with it, I believe that you are not growing, you are in the same space. Because you
Yes.
just have to leave that comfort zone,
Yeah.
and you leaving your comfort zone, that is where that
Mm.
growth happens. And you wanting to leave that comfort zone, that is how imposter syndrome sets it. So I think if, as you are reaching another like step of that ladder, you are going to have another dimension of imposter syndrome. When you conquer
100%.
gone to that
Level
stage, then move on again. Yeah. So
100%.
thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for sharing your story. So if you could go back in time to maybe your younger version before you started building your brand, what advice would you give your younger version before your brand? What advice will you give to your
What advice would I give to myself? So the first thing I would say is to my younger self is start building your brand before you even think you need it. Start building before you think you need it, because it's always great to not have something. Sorry, it's always great when you don't need something and you have it, compared to when you want it and you don't have it. Right? So starting very early on, the moment you understand, not understand, the moment you see and you understand what building a brand is about, don't procrastinate it. Just start it right away, right? Show up the way you are. No I wouldn't say no filters, but no regrets. Stay unique to yourself and just show up. That'll be the first thing. Then the second thing I would say is to go by my younger self. So for the very first part of when I started building my brand on LinkedIn, because of that imposter syndrome that I was dealing with back and forth, I was showing up, but I wasn't building relationships along the way.
Mm.
I was just focused more on, okay, building content online, respond to the comment and all that. But I was less focused on going to DMs, messaging people. Let's hop on a coffee chat. What are you up to? How can I help you? Is there anything you're currently doing that I can help you with? Is there someone you're trying to connect with that I can connect you with? That is my network. Just showing up as a problem solver. That's something I know I started about a year or so ago, or before then. I wasn't doing that. So I would highly recommend, I'll tell my younger self, show up as a problem solver and as a value giver. Then the other thing I would tell myself is, if my younger self, the last, would it be the last one? Yeah, okay. Let me say the last one would be this. For every time, because when I started LinkedIn, I think I didn't have any intention behind it. I just wanted to post online. I just wanted to be consistent. I just wanted to just show up, right? That was it, which was a great start, but there was no intention behind why I started building on LinkedIn. I had no intention. There was no real intent behind it. So, and one thing I know for a fact is, when you show up with intention, 100% intention, you've made the journey way less complex than it would have been when there's no intention.
Mm.
Yeah. So I would show up with 100% intention of exactly why I'm doing this. Even though I don't know what I can gain, I want to show up for why I'm doing this. And once I'm able to do that, when times get tough, when times get hard, and you have that intention behind you, behind your mind, it would be a good, a good way to keep you on track. A good way to keep you on track. So I think those are the three things that I would say. Then I think the other one I would have mentioned was something I said before, which is thinking think long term, right? So when I started, I was thinking I was thinking in weeks, months, but yeah, over time I had to switch my thinking process. So yeah, I said those would be the things that I would have told my younger self if I went back in time. And then another one I'll tell myself, I just remember this: don't stress about the number of followers.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Don't stress yourself. Don't even think much about number of followers, because for the longest time I placed so much value in number of followers. Like, how many followers do you have? How many But at the end of the day, it's just numbers.
Mhm.
It's literally just numbers. And if you check it out, the number itself, sometimes the people that are the followers, they're not even active.
Yeah.
They don't, they're just there. You check their account, they don't, they
Because
don't post, don't,
and just
so
be clicking on connect, 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 follow,
yeah,
follow.
yeah, 100%. So when you actually break it down to, because for my definition of a follower is someone that is influenced by you, and they actually want to shop, follow your lead, stuff like that, right? And
Mm.
they're only, if you break that, for example, now the 29,000 followers I have, if you break it down to the real definition of followers, they're not 30,000, they're not 29,000, they're less than that. The real followers are less than that, right? So focus less on numbers and focus more on impact. Who do you come in contact with, and how does that person feel after they left you? Not left you, after they're done meeting with you. How
Yeah.
do you make that person feel after they're done meeting with you? Not just stacking numbers and numbers and numbers and numbers. Yeah, that's something I learned also very late. Impact over numbers.
Mm. Yeah, I like when you talk about that intention, because sometimes you get you get tired. Like me, for example, sometimes I'll be like, why am I even doing this? But when I remember the reason behind
Yes.
it, it gives me that motivation. I might take maybe 2 days off just to breathe if there's a lot of on my plate. But those 2 days that I've taken off, sometimes I feel miserable. No, why did I even do this? But why am I even resting? Because
Yes.
I know the reason why I'm doing it. So sometimes that intentionality is very, 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 very key. Like you said, in your why you started it in the first place. And that will keep you going when challenges come, when you are faced with life and things like that. You remember that why and you continue showing up. I also
Yes.
like the part to talk about number of followers. I remember one time that I'm so much into like algorithm, virality. Oh, I want to go. That was what was stressing me. Like I want to make sure that everything is perfect so that this would. But people are like, for what? Then it's now became like it's now like passion, not like a tax, not something that I have to do, not like a ritual, just like a passion, just me giving that value. Yeah. So it's really, really, really matter. You have to have the good intention. If you have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bad intention, you are going to struggle. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you for that. So for someone listening and saying that, oh, I want to show up consistently, I want to build my personal brand, and they are like, I don't know what to post. What would be your biggest advice to that kind of person?
Okay. So to keep it very practical and to keep it very straightforward, the first thing I would say is this. Um, if you're watching this on your phone or you're watching this, I'm going to take it from two angles. If you're watching this from your phone, grab your laptop, put it by the side, switch it on, go to LinkedIn, go to create a post, and I would say I'm going to break it down to two kinds of people. I would say immigrants and the Canadians on one side, right? So if you're an immigrant and you are thinking of where to start, before you came to Canada, you had a life, right? Just what was the previous job that you're working at in Nigeria before you came here, and what was life for you? Just open that LinkedIn post, just write about it. What was the previous life about? What were you doing before you came here, and what was life like for you? Just write that experience and post it. You have to just do something about taking action. You don't need to think too much. No. What was the previous role in the country you're coming from? And what was life for you before you decided to switch to come to Canada? Once you do that, then we can talk about the next step. But if you don't do that, there is no next steps for you, right? Then if you like a Canadian, like you grew up here and all that, it's very simple. What does it look like growing up as a Canadian in terms of culture? What was your experience? When did you get your first job? What was the first job like? Were you 14 years old, 16 years old when you started working as maybe working at McDonald's or working at Tim Hortons? Just write about your first job,
Hmm.
because I'm very sure right now where you are at a much better place, or you have much more experience, right? So looking back at that previous job that you did, you would smile and be like, wow, you've come a long way, right? So just share that experience of where you've been compared to where you're right now. That's a good starting point. So if you're not able to do those action steps that I've told you to take right now, like right now, as you're watching this, don't worry about it. You're not ready for the next steps.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Just do that step. Open your laptop right now
Yeah,
or your phone, whatever. Just write down your
just
journey.
open it.
I also had one. If you're an immigrant, the journey that you took from boarding the flight in your country down to Canada, what happened throughout that journey? I'm so sure that it's, especially if you are coming from Africa, it's going to take hours in that journey. So
Oh,
try to summarize it in a post and put it out there. A lot of people will relate with it. Any immigrant that have traveled there will relate with it, and they can. That is where you can start building those connections. Everyday experiences, just put it down. You don't need to write about your like things that are very, very personal to you, but
yes.
there's a way you can still write it that you will just bring out lesson from that thing without putting all the details that are involved. Yeah.
100%, 100%. Totally agree with you. Just open your laptop. Don't think too much and just do it.
Yeah, just wait. Yeah. So thank you very much, Uchenna. It has been a great time chatting with you. Even I, as the host, have learned a lot. I've learned about knowing the key takeaway for me in this episode is that not everyone have it all figured out. So you will continue to refine and refine and refine.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that. And if you are listening, make sure that you like, you comment, and you also share it with your friends so that they also can learn from it and they can start building their personal brand. Do
Mhm.
any last word from you, Uchena?
Okay, so for me, I would say I want to say this to tie into what you just said not too long ago. Even me that people sometimes quote unquote see me as an expert. I'm still undergoing training right now. I'm still taking LinkedIn courses right now, right? Actively, right? So the learning never stops. It's the mindset that determines what the journey would look like, right? So have the student mindset, the sponge mindset, where you want to learn and just evolve, right? And the only way to evolve or to grow is to just keep learning and improve on what's been working and just find other ways that things could work better. That's one. Then two, what I would say is before I say that, I would say thank you so much for having me on this platform. It's been a great pleasure, and I've been so inspired by your journey too, right? Because you've done an amazing job. I knew when you said you were going to do this, when you were still cooking it in the kitchen, putting it together, and you're able to finally bring it to life and actually work on it, which is very inspirational and very motivating too, right? So I want to say to anyone out there that is doing or cooking something in the kitchen or doing something to or have something in mind that they want to do, take from Ade's cue. She's someone you can actually learn from because it's one thing to say something, it's a completely different ball game to actually do it, right? So whatever I say I want to do, try to do it. And yeah, and that's something I learned recently, right? Integrity is not just about what people think of us. Integrity starts from within, right? So what we tell ourselves, for example, oh, I'm going to go to the gym today, or I'm going to post today. The moment we say it and we don't do it, we are already chipping away at our confidence. We are already chipping away at that person in us that can actually do that actual activity, right? So the moment we keep saying things and not doing them, we are starving ourselves from the inside out, right? So with integrity of self, say what you mean and mean what you say, and ultimately, whatever phase you find yourself, just do good, be yourself, and know that life is always not a bed of roses.
Yeah, that was not bed of roses at all.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me today for taking your time to join. Thank you so much. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
thank you
Bye.
so much. I really appreciate it.
All right.